Okay, everybody, we're going to get started again. If you are a fan of country music, you probably already know Brett Kissel's story. Owned his first guitar before he was even in school, released his first album before he could even drive, leading to him becoming Canada's most dynamic country music artist before he turned 30 years old. Are you even 30 yet?
Yeah, I'm 31 now. I'm getting up there.
Jeez Louise. The Farm and Ranch Raised Artist has 15 top 10 radio singles, 3 #1 songs, and a tractor bucket full of gold and platinum plaques. He set records on his 112-date cross-country tour, played over 20 shows with his hero Garth Brooks, and has won 18 CCMA awards and 2 Junos. Kissel and his cultivated vulnerability on stage and in the recording studio has afforded his brand high commercial appeal. Perhaps his appeal has been sourced by guidance from longtime industry pals like Garth Brooks and Brad Paisley. Brett has recently navigated into new arenas, most notably the launch of his new spirit, Deuce Vodka. This vodka is born in a small town made for the big time, and his second to none, just like Kissel. The BK commercial music brand is best explained as a proxy of themes ready to jump. Brett is exploding with gusto to keep the high vibes rolling in 2021. Part of his appeal can be attributed to his down-to-earth nature. He's a fellow human living the human experience, just like everybody else. Brett Kissel promotes unity and hopes to continue showing off the best Canada has to offer to the world and cannot wait to perform from coast to coast once again. I'll stop there, and I'll let Brett himself fill you in on the rest.
Well,
Please
you,
welcome Brett Kissel.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, folks. And if you don't mind, a warm round of applause for my buddy, Matt. Right here. You deserve clapping too, Matt.
Very kind of you, Brett. Folks, I don't know if I've had a chance to meet everybody. I certainly want to make sure that I do before the end of the conference, and I feel super gracious to be up here today with you and of course with everybody here. Just it's been so long. We haven't been getting out lately, and to have a chance to experience that last night, to see everybody come together for the game. Actually have a chance to connect with Brett last night as well. Just share a little background story and express some gratitude to Kevin Bushy. So Brett and I have one thing in common, and it's Kevin and our appreciation for all the support that he provides us. So the connection here is Kevin. Actually, I'm from Truro. Kevin lives in our backyard, a neighboring community, and is Brett's tour manager. So after one of our successful shows, Kevin reached out, and one thing led to another, and then he began helping me attract major events to our venue in Truro. And we quickly realized that I think Kevin knows both of us are very high maintenance. And I think as we are both getting busier and busier with our event profiling, us in the venue, of course your career, we're going to have to arm wrestle soon.
About who gets to keep him?
Who gets to keep Kevin going here? So,
I agree.
Yeah.
Kevin has been a longtime friend. For those of you who haven't met Kevin Bushy, consider yourself warned right now, because when you do get an opportunity to spend time with this guy, you're instantly going to love him. He's a jack of all trades, a master of them all, from tour management to event management. He's on the volunteer fire department now in his home community, and one of my favorite people that I've ever been able to work with. And he's very much he plays the role of best buddy. Sometimes he's a father figure and whips me into shape when I need it. He's also a big brother and, like I said, a best buddy. So when Kevin and Matt spoke to me just a few months ago and asked if I wanted to come up and be a part of this and maybe speak, it was an instant yes. I never get an opportunity to talk. I usually have my guitar on my lap or strapped onto my back and away, and I'll play a couple songs. But to talk about the event industry was something that I was really excited to do, and I was very, very excited to go for long overdue drinks with Kevin and with Matt last night. So I'm a little rickety this morning, to be honest, because we made up for lost time last night, and I was so hungry I didn't eat for an entire day and a half so that I could get my fill of seafood, and I I was embarrassed because these guys watched me devour a seafood tower to myself yesterday. But it was amazing, and I'm so happy to be back in Eastern Canada.
And we know heading into a Thanksgiving weekend, time away from family is sometimes a challenge. So again, we appreciate you taking the time to be here and join us. And one thing that I've admired in following your career, it's certainly not your passion for the Edmonton Oilers, but I think it's your work ethic. I think it's your creativity. And I guess I'd like you to kind of tell the story about what you've been doing. We've all been working hard behind the scenes and preparing and building partnerships so that when we are through the pandemic, we're ready to rock and roll and elevate the level of events that we attract. But you've been having great success. I'd like you to tell us a little bit about that story.
Well, I mean, hard work pays off. I think we all know that. We know that from our backgrounds, from whatever it is that we did before the event industry to whatever it is that we're doing right now. And actually, I think that the hard work has only just begun as we now transition into a whole new phase of our careers in the event business. And I'm so grateful that I had that work ethic. I grew up on a cattle ranch in northeastern Alberta. There's a story that I love very, very much, and I can talk to you all about this to really show what my upbringing was like on the farm. I played a festival called the Big Valley Jamboree when I just turned 18 years old. And Big Valley was like Cavendish. It's huge. There's 50, 60,000 people. I had an opportunity to headline the beer gardens, and I had this incredible night. I drove back to the farm after the show, and of course I'm 18, so I'm feeling extra rickety in the morning. And my grandpa, my grandma and my grandpa lived with us, Meemaw and Grandpa Bear, in the same farmyard, just a house across the creek. So Grandpa starts banging on my door and says, "Okay, time to get up for chores." I said, "Grandpa, I'm a little hungover. I'm not feeling good. Don't you realize I just played the Big Valley Jamboree last night? Like, cut me some slack. Like, give me a break." And he said, "Wake your ass up. You ain't no country star on the farm." And away I went, put on my rubber boots, and we went and we chased cows. So for me, that work ethic has always been a part of who I am and what I bring to this business. And I realize, and anybody who's seen me play before, you know I'm not the best guitar player. That's Brad Paisley. You know I'm not the best singer. That's Jess Moskaluk or Shay Mooney of Dan and Shay or Chris Young. You know I'm not the best songwriter. That's Dolly Parton and that's Dean Brody. But I know I work really, really hard, and I try to be the very, very best at what it is that I do. So one of the common threads I think we all have is that we don't necessarily need to be the best, but we need to be the best at what we do in our lane. So that was one of the things over the last 18, 19 months, I had to really figure out what I'm good at and what I can really do to offer unity and happiness and bring people together, whether it be on social media at the beginning or with the drive-in concept that we ran with, and we did 24 shows across Canada, and I'm happy to talk about that maybe a little bit later, but it was the work ethic and the drive to bring people together in that way and figure out exactly what we can do and what the best outcome can be in a very, very interesting, challenging, frustrating, difficult, exciting, yet frustrating, yet exciting, yet frustrating time.
Awesome. You mentioned the best, and of course you can see on our screens behind us, which we're going to talk about later today, our strategic plan over the next 3 years. And our mantra for Event Atlantic is the best event experience. So I'm just hoping, you don't have to name names or venues, you can if you like, but if you can tell us a little bit about your best event experience in Atlantic Canada. There's probably been a lot.
Yeah, I've been very, very fortunate to have had several. And one of my favorite things to do, even though I'm from out west, I love flying the flag of Atlantic Canada and telling everybody around the world in multiple interviews. And Kevin, you've either stood beside me or been a part of these conversations where I've often spoken about how great it is in Nova Scotia and New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, and also in Newfoundland. The memories that we've made in each of these venues seems to get better every time we come back as an organization, if it's just me and my guitar or the whole band and entourage. From my first experience at Cavendish Beach when we played there in 2014 to a very special tour that we did in 2017 called the Ice, Snow, and 30 Below Tour, where we played some very unique venues in Windsor and Liverpool and Bridgewater. We played up in Sydney. We played in Port Hawkesbury, Georgetown, Summerside, Gander, Corner Brook. We've played everywhere, and of course so many great places in New Brunswick, like Miramichi, and obviously the big centers too. We love coming to Eastern Canada. We love coming to the Maritime provinces simply because everybody is so nice, everybody is so accommodating backstage, which allows us to do what we need to do on stage in an even bigger and better way than for our fans and your fans, your customers. There's this incredible relationship. So you asked me to pick my favorite memory in Atlantic Canada. I don't know. I just go down the list. I feel like I've played here 50 times, and each time just seems to get better.
That's great. That's great to hear. We, as Atlantic Canadians, I think we all naturally, I know we travel across the country and parts of the U.S., and we're attracting major events and working with other national rights holders, and naturally we always congregate amongst ourselves, and I just don't find you see that with other provinces. Maybe I'm wrong, but I often will go to a national event, and there's somewhere in the corner of the room next to the bar, all of us Atlantic Canadians are there interacting. Yeah. And we're 4 provinces, but we all collaborate like we're one, and I think that's a huge advantage for us pre-pandemic, but of course as we all come out of this together, our need for collaboration is even greater. So we talked about the best, and I'd like to hear a little bit about the worst. Again, don't have to mention any names, but feel free.
Well, I've had some pretty I've had some pretty dumb ideas on stage. Sometimes I get so caught up in the moment, and it made for the best story, but it was really stupid what I did in Georgetown, Prince Edward Island. We went to Island Hill Farm, and it's a goat farm, and we had a great time. I took my kids there. We played with goats. We were feeding goats with the bottle and everything like that, and there was a very tame goat, and I decided, well, hey, let's bring this goat up on stage. This will be a great idea. Everybody's gonna love it. So Flory, Kevin is shaking his head, like he's like, Brett, do not bring a goat on stage. I said, I'm gonna bring a goat on stage. It's gonna be hilarious. Everybody's gonna love it or whatever. So I bring this goat up on stage. It's the last show of the tour, and we're just having a good time. Everybody's feeling great. It's sold out show in this beautiful little playhouse. I bring the goat up on stage, and it got exactly the response that I predicted. Everybody clapped. Everybody thought it was great. But then a goat doesn't understand applause. So the goat got scared and just lifted up its tail and did its business right on stage. And I'm like, this is the stupidest idea I've ever had in my life, because who's gonna clean up after a goat? And of course we've all got our cowboy boots on and everything. There's no, so someone comes up with a push broom, but if you're from a farm, you know you don't use a push broom on stage. And so whoever was running the playhouse is looking at Kevin and like, why have you let him do this? And Kevin's like, I told him not to do it. And so we couldn't find a shovel, and so there we are, a couple of our band members with paper towel in the intermission, picking up after a goat, and I'm looking at Kevin, and he says, good for you. That's all he said. So, but it makes for a great story at Event Atlantic in the heart of Halifax about the time I brought a goat up on stage, but great memories, stupid choices.
I love that. Classic story. I can picture him too. I told you so. Yeah. So this is a great opportunity for us to get together. We get together every year for this summit. We're proud Maritimers. We feel like we deliver exceptional hospitality, but we always want to raise the bar. So tell us, in your experience, you've traveled the world touring. Tell us if there's things that we can do as an Atlantic Canadian region to improve our abilities to attract other artists like yourselves. From a touring perspective, are there others?
Great question. You know, for me, and I've thought about this, you know, over dinner. I thought about this coming up. So there's two things that I would like to say as a national artist. And so number one is that as we navigate, and obviously Dr. Strang was saying this, as we navigate out of this into a whole new chapter of life, one of the most wonderful things about Atlantic Canada and all of the venues, big and small, has been the level of kindness, hospitality, attention to detail, and those things I hope are never lost. In fact, because we've had to be physically distant and we're not exactly sure, can we hug, can we provide this, what do we do? Does an artist want to be left alone? Does an artist actually want that one-on-one? It's an easy question. What is your level of comfortability? But if the level of comfortability for that artist or that team or that organization is, we're good if you're good, then I hope that you can turn on the charm again. That's one of the most incredible things about these 4 special provinces in every community, is how charming this area is, and just innately you all have in your personality to host. So please don't ever lose that, because it was one of the most incredible things about traveling to this part of the world. And I've loved having conversations with Brad Paisley, who's got great memories of playing here, or when we played in Summerside together, how much he loved spending time in the community. And some of you may know or may have heard about this. He doesn't drink, but he went out to a pub 3 nights in a row just to be part of the community. So that is a more emotional response. But then in terms of like hard, we'll call it like hard data, what you can do to continue to attract, one of the unique ideas that came together was what we were talking about at dinner last night with Kevin and you and the Atlantic venue AVP. So that the strategy of everybody getting together, removing competition, but talking about collaboration is really, really great in terms of landing international artists who you may not have the budget for that one-off performance. But if there's an opportunity to get everybody else involved while someone is already here for an anchor date, instead of worrying about how it's going to spread out ticket sales, which I do understand in terms of a radius clause, that you maybe can't, if you're a giant artist, you can't play necessarily Liverpool, Bridgewater, Truro, and everything. But if you can get together per province, you can maybe put together one big budget to bring an artist of significant size to play around. You've done this, Live Nation does it, you know the touring model, but removing competition, and especially in this time talking about collaboration, that would be the biggest thing that I would encourage, because it works. And I love the conversation with my agent that says it's not just a one-off to Eastern Canada, which can be expensive to get to. We've lined up 6 shows for you, and it's a wonderful thing to have that spread out over 2 weekends, and you have that week in between. There's also a tourism aspect that you might be able to do with incredible golf courses like Cabot Links, or however many Inverness, or fishing, or all these other great tourism things that the venues could line up with the tourism board locally and say, if you come up and if you come up with your family, I saw you were on a magazine talking about wine, and we've got, you know, the Annapolis Valley, and there's a great region here, or I saw you on a fishing show, let's line that up. You're hospitable anyway, maybe it's that additional layer to secure that big artist coming out of the last 18 months.
That's great. That's great. We often just think of the event as the event, and it's important that we always remember it's an experience it's a 360 experience. It's for the fans, it's for the staff and volunteers involved, and it's also for the artists and performers and athletes. We're looking forward in Truro in a few more weeks bringing the first professional women's hockey event to town, and we realized that this event typically is played in large markets and NHL arenas. So how do we compete with that? How do we attract these types of events to our communities? And it's by providing them with the best experience we can, and that may include fishing, that may include other elements of hospitality that's outside of our building. So that's it's great to hear you say that. It just sort of reinforces that I think we're on the right track with our strategy here. So I'd also like to hear. I do have some questions that we received from our delegates, which I'll kind of go through bullet point form for you. But I also just want to hear a little bit from you about your approach to live touring. I'm sure it's draining, especially with Bushy. But how do you stay focused? How do you keep your health in check, mentally and physically? And what is that perfect kind of like day for you? So as us, whether we're promoters or the arenas or the DMOs that are involved in attracting events, how can kind of we prepare to help you make that day smooth?
It's a great question. Every venue is different, yet every venue has so many similarities. For us, every artist is different. Some people are very introverted and like to stay on the bus, like to stay in their hotel. They know that they've got a job to do. You're going to see them at 7:30 for a brief meet and greet. They're going to hit the stage at 8:30, and that's that. There are some artists that definitely do that, and they're very, very good at what they do because they're so focused on the art. For us, what has really worked for us is the busy schedule. So when you talk about mental health and even physical fitness and stuff like that, we try our very best to incorporate that into our very busy schedule. But we've been road dogs. There's no denying that. We have a very, very special record of the most extensive tour that's ever happened in Canadian music history, where we played 116 shows in every province and every territory. Now, other artists may have played more in a calendar year, but in one tour, that was pretty much a show every 3 days. And often we would play 2 shows a day, and our record on that run is we did 18 concerts in a row. And so during that, our schedule, there's nothing that you could have done as a venue to prepare for us other than you've got your marching orders, we've got our marching orders, and it's all about the fan experience for me and for you, to make sure that the 1,000 people or the 500 people or the 2,800 people, whoever bought tickets, are going to have the best time they've ever had. But our schedule was grueling that year, and we've maintained that, where simply I'd be up at 5 for morning media, sometimes earlier. I would always perform on morning media if I could, either to get a few last-minute ticket sales or to increase brand in the area, where we would do television and then we'd do radio. Kevin would be along for that. I do that from, probably 5 to 8:30 or 9. You get back to the venue at 9 and have breakfast, have a meeting. Kevin knows that I'm a micromanager, and that really, really bothers him. But we've got a great relationship regardless. We talk about ticket sales. We talk about what we need to do. So we have a meeting from 9 till 10. I'll spend some time with my wife and my kids from about 10 till noon. We have lunch. Then we do setup and sound check from noon till 2:33. From 3 till 4, it's now a true venue meeting and a meeting with my musical director about what we're going to do, because we always have a very unique show lined up. The things that work stay in the show, but if we're going to play in, I don't know, somewhere as close to where the Rankin family grew up, okay, well, let's do 3 Rankin family songs in a medley tonight. And so we'll organize that and rehearse that with the band, make it seem very spontaneous, but we've planned this for, 2-3 days. And so we do that rehearsal. Now it's 5 o'clock. Now doors are about to open in about an hour, spend a little bit more time with family. Now doors have opened at 6. We've got sponsors that come in from 6 to 7. We've got a meet and greet with our fans from 7 to 8. We hit the stage at 8:30. We play for 2 hours till 10:30. Wind down, pack up at midnight. Bus rolls to the next community from midnight to 4. I wake up at 5. We'd go do media again. And you do that for an entire year. I loved that. And I love getting an opportunity to do that. And I can't wait until we get a chance to do that again.
That's amazing. That's a good segue sort of into my next question. It was just if there's anything you can share over the next few weeks that you're really looking forward to doing. What's next for Brett Kissel?
Well, the Canadian Country Music Awards have been announced. They're going to be in London, Ontario. We got very, very lucky with some incredible nominations this year. And the Fans' Choice Award is something very special, especially in a time where engagement has been so important, yet the one-on-one engagement has been few and far between. So that's a nomination that I know Kevin and I and our entire organization we're very proud of. Late November is when the show is going to happen in London. but there's a lot of speculation about how the show's going to be, whether fans are going to be involved or not. So there's still so much up and down and up and down. And like, if anybody watches The Office and Michael Scott, snip, snap, snip, snap, snip, snap. It's one of those things where we don't exactly know how the show is going to go, but that's something I'm really looking forward to. And planning for our 6th time, our national arena tour. And when I say 6th time, we've planned it 5 times, as you know, Matt, because your arena's been on hold, and we've canceled it 5 times before it's even been announced. So we're in the stages of planning it for our 6th time. And I'm very, very excited to hopefully in 2022 get back out on the road.
It's great to hear. You mentioned Canadian Country Music Week. So what year was it, guys? Halifax,
15.
2015.
Yeah.
You were here.
I was.
Any memorable moments from that event? It was a question we received from one of our delegates. Tell us
Absolutely.
about that experience.
That collectively has been, in industry, and I can speak for pretty much every artist who was here. Collectively, that has been our favorite CCMA. And so yeah. Stacy started the clapping. Well, it was so great. It was so different. And again, the charm of the East Coast, the charm of Nova Scotia. And I know that everybody bought into it. And I will tip my hat. Halifax hosted the event, but Newfoundland was proudly represented, as was New Brunswick, as was Prince Edward Island. And that was something extremely special where when it goes to Saskatoon, it's truly just a prairie CCMA. Not just I'm proudly from the prairies too, but when it was here, it was so special because every artist, the young artists were here for the very first time. And you could see that they came a week early or stayed a week late. All the big artists from Nashville, a lot of them flew in and flew out, but a lot of the big Canadian artists, we stayed. We brought up our families this time. So I think that if or when the Atlantic provinces get together and say, hey, we'd like to host the Canadian Country Music Awards again, I think it's very, very important to speak to government and to speak to your sponsors, to speak to the tourism boards, to say it's not just about the event. It's not just $1 million price tag, the economic spin-off a week early, a week late, and 6 years later of everybody talking about it or remembering the memories that we had because of that CCMAs. My wife and my children, well, I didn't have a child yet, but my wife and I always love coming back to Atlantic Canada because of that experience. So for just us, just this, small couple, what has that economic spinoff been? Matt, you know these incredible trigger words. So does, Jackie. I'm sure. What else can you say to the sponsors to get everybody involved? Because we know it's a smaller city. You may not have the budget that Vancouver does. You may not have the budget that Calgary does. But who gives a shit? You guys are the best. So please bring it back again.
I'd like to change our tagline and our strategic plan to who gives a shit? We're the best.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I got to ask this question as well because we are so diverse as Event Atlantic. We represent sport tourism, we represent culture, arts, vendors, artists and performers. From any artists in the room, and we do have some artists joining us here today to do some showcases on our stage here.
Yeah.
So in a couple of weeks, Truro is hosting Nova Scotia Music Week. A couple hundred artists from Nova Scotia will be joining us in our community, filling our hotel, putting on a heck of a week of performances. Do you have some advice for these local aspiring artists that will be taking our stage in a couple of weeks?
Well, I think it would be some of the same advice and mentorship that I've been fortunate enough to receive as well from different entrepreneurs or different artists. And it's hard work pays off. That is just something, whether you're in acting, event industry, country music, oil business, fishing, farming, hard work pays off. The end. So you don't necessarily need to be the best singer or songwriter or have the best song, but if you work hard at your craft, and if you work hard networking, if you work hard developing a show, if you work hard booking yourself and your shows until you attract that manager or that booking agent, if you work hard developing who it is that you are and the brand that you're building, if you work hard, hard work will pay off. Now, sometimes people do get lucky and they work hard for a short amount of time and get that thing, but now they've just graduated to a new level where a different level of hard work is about to begin. So hard work pays off. That's all I can say.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I can't help but notice, obviously, when I'm sitting here looking out and I see all of my peers, and many of you I look at, not just peers, but mentors as well. Do you have some mentors in your career that come to mind that you would want to share with us that you would, you sort of aspire to align career decisions with, or?
Very, very much so.
Yeah.
And mentorship is such a valuable role for everybody to play. You may have had mentors that have truly just said, hey, I'm going to be your mentor. I'm going to take you under my wing, and I'm going to show you the ropes. That's very special. I don't know if that's common, though. But I think everybody has an opportunity in your own role to mentor somebody else coming up through the ranks, regardless of age. It could be somebody just coming into the business that could be 10 years older than you. But there's an opportunity for mentorship all the time to continue to build a vibrant community aspect to your business. And some of the mentors were people that you wouldn't necessarily think. I could talk about Garth Brooks. I could talk about Brad Paisley. Those are incredible mentors. But sometimes it's been the mentors of event promoters. My agent, Jim Cressman, who's an incredible friend. He's 15 years older than I am. But he and I talked a lot about business and the things that he's seen coming up through the ranks and what Johnny Reed did extremely well, or what was very, very interesting when he was promoting Alan Jackson shows across Canada and how Alan ran his camp, or what he really learned from watching this manager or watching this biography. So it's those business tips and tools that I learned from Jim Cressman. One of the greatest mentors I've had in my life has been my tour manager, Kevin Bushy. I'm not going to look at him when I say this because we have a relationship based on ribbing, making fun of each other, laughing, not taking each other too seriously, but I'm going to pretend he's not in the room. Kevin and the work ethic that he brings and the passion that he has for the artists that he's represented and the tour management he's done for Doc Walker and Emerson Drive and Chad Brownlee and myself now for almost a decade. That type of mentorship has been great in terms of understanding our role and him explaining to me of what it is that I offer in terms of a service to the fan base, whether it's 200 people or 20,000 people that we've played for, just reminding me what my job is and trying to keep me sane and to keep my focus on putting together the best possible concert and experience for somebody who really needs it that day, or understanding that we're playing for Heritage Classic or Canada Winter Games or Canada Day. What experience are you going to do today? And what can I do to keep you focused and to keep you in between the lines and maybe put the blinders on to the shit that's going on around you? But that mentorship has been incredible, especially from a guy who's been in the business a lot longer than me. The guy's extremely old, and he's been in the business for 100 years, sometimes it seems like. And so those experiences and that amount of knowledge that he's able to give to a guy, who was in his early 20s, who's now in his early 30s, has been priceless. So the mentorship I've gotten here is very special.
How are we on time, Steph? 7 minutes.
7 minutes.
All right. I just want to kind of step out of the comfort zone for a second or have a discussion about it. And I think that for myself personally in my career, I realize that if I'm comfortable, I'm not learning and growing. So that's why I'm sitting in this chair. I'm so uncomfortable right now. And I think when you step out of your comfort zone, it pushes you to that next level, to learn something new, to advance your career. You're a cool cat on stage. You're just as well spoken as you are an artist. is there any moments in your career that I've seen you sing anthems at NHL Outdoor Classics, seen you tour with Garth Brooks. Is there any point in your career where you're like nervous, or is it every night even for all we know? You're just you're a pro.
There's a big difference between being nervous and having nerves of excitement. So I always have those nerves of excitement, but being nervous, I feel, this is only my opinion, has a bit of a negative connotation because you're nervous, you're afraid to fail, you're afraid to make a mistake. Making mistakes is part of it, and everybody is human. We're all living this human experience together. So as an artist, if you make mistakes, that's totally fine. No one's necessarily expecting a flawless show, unless maybe you're an acrobat and you make a mistake, and it could be an injury, if you're in Cirque du Soleil or something like that. But if we're on stage and if you're planning an event, it's okay to make mistakes, own the mistakes, and learn from the mistakes. So if you know that, now all of a sudden you have all this armor and this actual, what I would call like immunity, because if you're not afraid to fail, then failure isn't this big, terrible thing. So, and I've actually been really, really happy to have made mistakes on stage with either song selection or things that I've said that was just, the wrong timing, or I took the fans on a journey, or I decided to pack my day too much, or I decided to give myself too much free time that now I'm all loosey-goosey.
Or bring livestock on stage.
So you learn these lessons, and it's been very, very special. But one of the times that I was very nervous and I was in over my head, but it turned out to be great, was at the Memorial Cup 2014, London, Ontario. Val d'Or, Quebec was the underdog, and I was asked to do the anthem for the final game on Sportsnet. I love doing anthems. I love hockey. I was so excited to do it, so I said yes. Well, Val d'Or upset the London Knights, and they win. So what that means, and my Edmonton Oil Kings had already won from the West. So it's the Oil Kings versus Val d'Or, Quebec. And I'm about to do my sound check at 5 p.m. before the puck drop at 7. And the head person from Sportsnet and the head person from Memorial Cup, Trevor Whiffen and a guy named Gary Kurgan, said, "Oh, and by the way, you can sing it in French, right?" I said, "Yeah, absolutely." So I take off my hat and I do the sound check. "Oh, Canada, home and native land, true patriot love, and all of us command." Perfect. Sounds good. Great. I don't need any longer of a sound check. I specifically don't sing the French part because I can't freaking sing the French part. But I don't want to miss this opportunity on TV in front of 1.2 million people. So they're like, "Hey, do you want to go around and meet some sponsors?" I said, "I'd really love to, but I'll do that after. I need to save my voice." I go back to the hotel and I YouTube how to sing this in French. Now, I've heard it a million times, but I want to phonetically sing it correctly. I call my cousin who's bilingual, Carmen Verrier, and I say, "Carmen, sing this with me." All right. So she's like, "I'll type it out for you." Like, no, don't type it out for me because I need to learn to sing this phonetically correct. So it's "Quand on brasse et porte le pays." And so, okay, and I sing it. I come back to the arena. "Ladies and gentlemen, to sing our national anthem, please rise and join us. Singing of our national anthem, country artist Brett Kissel." And I literally think to myself, here goes nothing. And so I sing it, and I just remember, and if you watch this on YouTube, I closed my eyes, and everybody thought I was really into the performance. I wasn't into the performance. I'm just trying to remember exactly how to sing it. "Quand on brasse et porte le pays, il sait porter la croix." And I sing it, and I nail it, and I'm done, and I almost shit my pants, and I get back. And so Gary and Trevor Whiffen are like, "That's great. We didn't know you could sing it in French." And I said, "Boys, do I have a story for you. 2 hours ago, I didn't know how to sing it in French either." And they kind of didn't believe it, but Kevin is like, "Dude, you nailed it." And I'm like, "Yeah." And so we go up, and we go into this suite, the MasterCard suite, and who greets me at the door but Bobby Orr? And Bobby Orr knows a little bit of French. And he starts speaking French to me. I said, hold it, Bobby, I don't know any French, but you sang it so well. And I'm like, do I have a story for you? So if you're not kind of, what were you saying about your comfort zone? That was the most uncomfortable I've ever been. Yeah.
Great story. I know we're wrapping up on time. I've got one more question for you, and something that we do a lot of here as event delegates representing the industry. We measure the success of our events, and it's easy for us to do in some capacities. So we can measure the economic impact of an event. We can measure the attendance. We can measure, of course, the revenues and all of that stuff. Maybe if you could tell us a little bit how you would measure a successful event beyond the tangibles. I think there's so many intangible benefits that sometimes we lose track of, and how events can bring communities together.
Well, very, very much so. There's something that you can't put a price tag on, and it's memories made. The memories that you make at an event, the memories that you're going to make with your kids when they come and watch Paw Patrol or The Wiggles, the memories you're going to make with the seniors in your community when they finally get a chance to, watch one of the heritage acts again, the memories you're going to make with this crowd, this demographic or whatever, that is something that you'll never be able to truly quantify. You can't put a price tag on that. You're going to know that there's buzz in the community, but it's important from a marketing spin and a PR spin to then take that, if you want to extract dollars from it, is to talk about the memories made. And try your very, very best when selling the next event or trying to sell the next ticket or trying to attract that next corporate sponsor, is to pull on the heartstrings of that sponsor, that person. It's not manipulation. This is true memory making. This is brand building. You are building culture. And if it's Johnny Reed on New Year's Eve, if it's a Brett Kissel tour show and it's part of the most extensive tour ever, if it's the very first time that women's hockey is coming to this place, or the East Coast Basketball League is finally coming and the Truro Tide is here, there are special trigger words that you can use to now sell, but understand that it's memories made at this event. That's something you can't put a price tag on, which I'll segue into this as I put the mic back on the chair here. As an artist, we're trying to navigate what the next chapter of live entertainment is going to be. I want to bring people together. I'm frustrated, I'm excited, but I'm frustrated, but I'm also excited. And every day, in fact, multiple times a day, each side of my brain feels something negative and disappointing, or something so uplifting and exciting. We're all navigating that. You backstage, me on stage, and most importantly, the fans that are going to be coming and watching the show on stage. So as we navigate this next chapter, I think it's extremely important to lead with kindness, understanding, allow everybody to discern for themselves, and know that everybody's here to follow the rule and for the common good of bringing people together. But please remember that we're all going through different levels of experience. Promote safety, but maybe you don't need to yell at somebody to be like, get your mask on, or show your proof of vax, like whatever. We know the rules, we're here to help you. We're so happy that you're here. Welcome back. And it's that extra layer of this, and you don't see it in the airline industry right now. And I'm sorry to say, but sometimes the experiences that I've had, it's follow the rules, it's cattle call, it's military, it causes so much anxiety for a frequent traveler to go through this because I'm afraid. No. Fear is over now. Now it's time to bring everybody back together. This is a safe place. This is a great place. This is an opportunity for unity and happiness and kindness again. You can do it safely, but if I can just encourage everybody to have that extra layer of understanding as we all navigate. Some people are going to be gung-ho, ready to go, and going to have a couple beers and forget to put their mask on. It's a tap on the shoulder. Hey, we're all in this together. Do you mind? These are our rules. I know masks don't work. Doesn't matter. Like, we're not talking about that. We're not here to get into a political conversation. Please just follow the rules so we can have some fun. And you're going to have to do that 100 times to 100 people. And I know it could get frustrating. And then also that layer of, to those who are quite afraid, coming to their very first live event in 2 years, or they may not be ready. Maybe it's that Facebook post to say, you may not be ready, we understand, but when you are, we're here for you. It's that message that it's something to remind. I don't know exactly how to articulate that. I'm trying my best. But we want the best experience on stage. You want the best experience backstage. Yeah. The fans want the best experience. Please, please, please do it with kindness and with unity being the number one priority.
And I think we've all said now over the course of the last 18 months is you don't realize how important something is until it's gone. And clearly, with the gap in the event sector, over the last year and a half, we've realized how events bring people together, how it allows people to collaborate, how it creates a sense of camaraderie, whether you're celebrating music or you're cheering on your home team. It brings people together, and we're just looking forward to that next step to get back to doing what we all love, what we're passionate about, and bringing our communities back together. So I know we're wrapped up here on time. I'm getting the wink from Steph. So I do want to say on behalf of Event Atlantic, we truly appreciate you taking the time out of your busy life, heading into a Thanksgiving weekend and joining us here. It was literally a 30-second ask. He said, Kevin, we typically have the Event Atlantic Summit aligned with some major events, so we really want a strong educational program this year. What can we do? 30 seconds later, Brett's going to come and do a great talk, and it's just appreciate your willingness and again your time, and can't thank you enough.
Well, thanks everybody. I appreciate it.